Apple is about to do something it has only done once before in the entire history of the iPhone. Skip a number. Back in 2017, Apple jumped from the iPhone 8 straight to the iPhone X. That was a big deal because it was the 10th anniversary of the iPhone. Now, according to Bloomberg, Apple is about to do it again. We are going from the iPhone 18 straight to the iPhone 20. No iPhone 19, just gone. And the reason is exactly what you think, the 20th anniversary of the iPhone. But here is the thing, this is not just a name change or a marketing trick. Apple is reportedly planning some of the biggest changes to the iPhone that we have seen in years. We are talking about a completely new design, a new chip, a foldable phone, and a feature lineup that could genuinely change how you use your phone every single day. So today, we are going to break down everything we know about what Apple has planned for 2027 and beyond. Let's get into it. Let's start with the name iPhone 20 or iPhone XX. So Apple skipped the iPhone 9 in 2017 to celebrate 10 years. Now they are skipping the iPhone 19 to celebrate 20 years. That much is confirmed by Bloomberg. But here is an interesting detail. Apple has not fully decided on the name yet. It could be called the iPhone 20, or it could be called the iPhone XX. The XX is just the Roman numeral for 20, similar to how the iPhone X used the Roman numeral for 10. Either way, the message is the same. This is a special landmark product, and Apple wants everyone to know it. The design, a full slab of glass. Now let's talk about what everyone is really excited about, the design. Apple is reportedly testing a phone that looks like a single solid piece of glass. No cutouts, no notch, no dynamic island. Nothing. Just a clean, seamless slab of glass from edge to edge. The display will use curved glass that wraps around all four sides of the phone. Think of it like a bar of soap made of glass, smooth, continuous, and borderless. This was actually the original vision that Jony Ive, Apple's former chief designer, had for the very first iPhone. It just took Apple 20 years to actually make it happen. And it is not just the front of the phone. The entire device is expected to have an all-glass unibody design. What happens to Face ID and the front camera? Great question. Since there are no cutouts, Apple is planning to move both Face ID and the selfie camera under the display glass. That means they will still be there and still work, but you will not see any hole or notch on the screen. Everything will sit underneath the display. This is something Android manufacturers have been trying to do for years, and Apple appears to be ready to do it right. No more physical buttons. Here is another major change that is hard to wrap your head around at first. Apple is replacing the physical buttons on the sides of the phone with something called solid-state capacitive haptic zones. Basically, instead of pressing a real button, you press a spot on the glass, and the phone uses haptic feedback to make it feel like a click. This is similar to how the Touch ID home button worked on older iPhones. It was not a real button, but it felt like one. But here is the really impressive part. These haptic zones are designed to work even if the phone's battery is completely dead, so you can still power the phone on or interact with it even when it has no charge. That is a significant engineering challenge, and Apple seems to be taking it seriously. The chip, Apple's most powerful yet. The iPhone 20 Pro and Pro Max will be powered by a chip Apple is calling the A21. Inside Apple, this chip goes by the codename Naxos. It is built on a 2nm process, which is the same manufacturing technology used for the iPhone 18 Pro lineup launching this September. But just to give you some context, the iPhone 17 Pro models that are current right now use a 3nm chip. The move to 2nm with the iPhone 18 Pro this year is already a step forward. The A21 in the iPhone 20 is expected to push that technology even further for the anniversary lineup. And looking even further ahead, the chip Apple plans to use in the 2028 iPhone lineup will be manufactured mostly on a 1.4nm process. Apple is also reportedly considering using Intel to help produce some chips for the iPhone 21 line. So the roadmap is clear. Apple is pushing chip performance hard over the next few years. RAM 12 gigs across the board. Here is something that matters a lot for how smooth and smart these phones will feel. All 2027 iPhone models are expected to come with 12 gigs of RAM. The reason for this is directly connected to Siri AI. Apple is rebuilding Siri from the ground up, and the new version requires more memory to run properly. By giving every model 12 gigs of RAM, Apple can ensure that every iPhone 20 user gets access to every Siri AI feature without limitations. Siri AI, what it actually is. Speaking of Siri AI, let's talk about what this actually means. Siri AI is Apple's major update to its voice assistant. It is expected to officially launch with iOS 27 this September. But if you are a developer, you can already test it through the iOS 27 developer beta. Early feedback suggests it is genuinely impressive, especially if you have never used Google's Gemini Assistant on Android. It is more conversational, more capable, and better at understanding what you actually mean. That said, since it is still in beta, it can be slow at times, and occasionally it does not respond at all. But that is to be expected at this stage. By the time it launches on the iPhone 20, it should be far more polished. The foldable iPhone, Generation 2. Now here is something that makes 2027 even more exciting. Apple is not just launching the anniversary iPhone that year. It is also expected to launch the second generation foldable iPhone at the same time. The first foldable iPhone is expected to arrive this September alongside the iPhone 18 Pro and Pro Max. So by 2027, Apple will have had a full year of learning from the first foldable. The second generation model will then debut right alongside the iPhone 20 lineup. Having two entirely new product categories launch at the same time would be one of the biggest iPhone moments Apple has ever had. It signals that Apple is not just celebrating 20 years, it is trying to define the next 20 years. What about the rest of the iPhone lineup in 2027? The iPhone 20 Pro and Pro Max are not the only phones coming in 2027. In spring of that year, Apple is also expected to release the base iPhone 18 model. This one will carry a 6.3-inch display and use a less powerful version of the A20 chip, also built on 2M. At the same time, Apple is expected to launch the iPhone 18e, which is the more affordable option with a 6.1-inch screen. There will also be an iPhone Air 2, which focuses on being thin and lightweight. All of these iPhone 18 series models are expected to carry 12 gigs of RAM as well. So 2027 is going to be an absolutely packed year for Apple. The global smartphone market is slowing down. Most people already have a good phone and are not in a rush to upgrade. Apple knows this. So instead of just making small improvements year over year, they are going big in 2027. An all-glass design, under-display cameras, no physical buttons, a new AI-powered Siri, a second-generation foldable, and a landmark anniversary edition. This is Apple saying, here is a real reason to upgrade. And whether you are a long-time iPhone user or someone who has been on the fence, 2027 might be the year that genuinely changes your mind. So that is everything we know so far about the iPhone 20 and what Apple has planned for its 20th anniversary. It is still a couple of years away, but the pieces are already coming together. If you are excited about any of this, whether it is the all-glass design, the under-display Face ID, the no-button concept, or the second-gen foldable, let me know in the comments below. I read every single one. And if you found this video helpful, go ahead and hit that like button. It genuinely helps more people find this content. Make sure you are subscribed so you do not miss any future updates on the iPhone 20 as more details come out. There is going to be a lot more to talk about. I will see you in the next one.